Picture it, Los Angeles 2025.
Welcome to Out on the Lanai, the only Golden Girls podcast you're ever going to need to listen to. I am HAlanScott / Sadie Pines.
I'm Kerri Doherty, and today we're doing a Beyond Golden Girls episode where we cover the many film and TV projects that the women did outside of the Golden Girls during the course of their illustrious careers. And today we watched Betty White play herself in a 2007 episode of Ugly Betty titled Bananas for Betty. There is so much Betty happening here.
You know, before we get to our Rusty Anchor pitch, which comes always, or like anything else, I do need to say up top, right now, that Kerri and I are in a mood. We both have had weeks that we are very grateful to be here to be talking about this because we need it. Life has been lifing in a way that is the stress level can be very high. And so we also both, and we're just going to say this up top, are kind of blown away that Ugly Betty existed as a television program. So prepare yourself for a roller coaster of an episode. That is not a warning, but a just a preview of what's to come, if you will.
A little bit of a preface. Yeah, I feel like you and I, every boundary, every emotion, everything has been tested this week.
Not with us. I mean, nothing with us.
Oh no, not
I don't want people to because I mean, I see sometimes comments because people don't understand our dynamics and they're like they're new here, which hi, but like they're like, do they hate each other? And it's like, no,
gosh, no, we love each other so much. No, completely things in our own independent lives.
Separate.
We've been like, I
can share a little bit of mine because mine was quite literally, those moments when and for me, I'll be honest, anything healthcare related becomes a massive trigger for me because of cancer. That is like my previous experience with cancer and chemo. Anything health related sends me in, especially if I'm dealing with health insurance, sends me into a fight or flight trigger, panic mode. And when a drug that I need, I'm having to fight the insurance company thing. It literally, it pushes me to the wall. And then I had I did drag on Sunday, or this is coming out a week after I did that, but whatever. And I got some sort of weird, not infection, but like a rash from something within the hair. I don't know what it was. And I had that before, and my hair fell out. So I'm having the anxiety of my hair falling out on top of we tried to record this last night, but we're recording it during the day, but then my internet fucked up. And so it was just like a domino effect of nothing in my life working. And I wanted to fall apart. And there was a tear or two. I will admit that.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I was crying 5 minutes ago before we started recording.
Yeah. For other separate reasons, which we won't go into. But so it's been a stressful week. So we are, both of us we said before we got on, are very grateful to be here to shit on Ugly Betty a little bit. We're actually very eager to shit on this a little bit. Not Betty White though. Betty White was incredible. But also to just have fun. Yeah.
Well, we will get into Rusty Anchor Happy Hour stuff or get into GGVIP Club stuff. But so Ugly Betty, I had never seen Ugly Betty before.
That when you texted me that surprised me because I only watched, because I'm a big Salma Hayek fan, and she produced Ugly Betty, and Ugly Betty I think holds the record as the most adapted sitcom or show in the world, because it has so many international iterations of it. It's just so adapted everywhere. And so I was excited when it came out. And of course it seemed like the premise of it seemed really fun, and it was campy, and it had a fun cast and everything. And I remember watching it when it came out, and I don't remember disliking it as much as I disliked watching this episode of it for this recording.
I didn't mind it so much. I didn't realize it was kind of like a comedic soapy drama that was based on a telenovela.
What did you think it was?
I truly didn't. I thought it was like a straight Malcolm in the Middle comedy is what I thought. It did feel very of the time of sort of 2006, 2007. I was blown away by the cast.
Oh my God,
oh my God, what an incredible ensemble cast of America Ferrera, Vanessa Williams, Rebecca
Yeah.
Romaine, Judith Light.
Judith
You
Light,
got Schmidt
Vanessa
from
Williams.
New Girl. Yeah, Quinn from How I Met Your Mother. Ashley Jensen from
Yeah.
Extras and Afterlife, who
And
I love. Freddie Rodriguez, John Cho. Like,
Yeah.
the cast was stellar.
I mean, so many people have. I mean, and in a many ways too. And what I will say, this is typical of like Disney films and all of it. I always love the sort of like older, campy, sort of bitchy woman in any show ever. So like, I only cared about Judith Light and Vanessa Williams' storylines in this episode. They were the only times that I actually was like, okay, I'm not bored now. And I came back to the television. But I will say, one of the things that blew me away as I was watching this was, and I know, I mean, I did not grow up with telenovelas, but I know that music is an integral part of it. And Michael has shown me many telenovelas that he loves. There's one, and I'm blanking on the name of it now, but it's so many campy things happened in this telenovela where a woman goes from like ugly, but she was never really ugly, to pretty, and then something happens to her. I forget. Like crazy things, like literally, like it's crazy. So music is a big part of it. Michael's just texting me because I'm fucking up what this description. It's called The Dreamers. I will not try to pronounce the name. How do I pronounce it, Michael? Oh, say it. Sonia Dores. Sonia Dores is the telenovela, and so look it up and you'll see the description. But like music is a big part of telenovelas, and especially in the dramatic moments or in those like big moments. But I don't recall music being on all the time for every moment. I felt like I had just taken Adderall or something. It was just like the music never stopped. Ever. I hope the clips we have from this episode don't get us pulled down from YouTube, because it was just non-stop music, even in moments where it was just people casually talking about stupid shit.
There was a lot of music. And
it was all music. There was not one moment where there was no music.
For anybody who doesn't know Ugly Betty, so it ran on 4 seasons on ABC from 2006 to 2010. And I do want to read the episode description of this. So just think, for people who haven't seen it, they can understand how truly soapy it is. So here's I think this is like the IMDb description. Unable to I feel like I need music for this. Unable to decide who their father left in charge of the Meade Empire, Daniel and Alexis settle the matter with a paintball fight inside Mode offices. Trying to spice her love life, Betty drags Henry into a double date with romantic, assertive Gio and her very outgoing sister Hilda at a lively reggae town club. Wilhelmina, so Vanessa Williams.
Well, the family, Ugly Betty's family was also cool. I'll say that.
Cool. Yes.
Yeah.
Wilhelmina faces financial problems in a newly launched Slater magazine and tries to improve her public image, ending in a total media disaster as she runs over Betty White.
Yeah, which all of those, like, that is to me, that's a fun ride. But I didn't think an episode needed to be quite literally in like 50 minutes long with nonstop music and mayhem and camp.
Longs.
It was just too long. And I mean, I like America Ferrera a lot. I do. I think she's an incredible actress.
She was so good.
I love her in Barbie. I love her work. You know, Real Women Have Curves. Like, I think she's incredible. And I'm so glad that she's Oscar nominated, an incredible person that she is today. Wow, was her character annoying in this. Like, on a level that I was just like, please just stop. Like, I just could not the whole time. And then Betty White doesn't show up until like 30 minutes into the episode, which that also to me was just like, you have someone like Betty White in the mix with Vanessa Williams and Judith Light, and you are not utilizing her throughout the episode. She should have been, that storyline should have started at the beginning of the episode, and it should have carried all the way to the end.
I mean, you know me, I could always use more Betty White.
And
I could always use more Betty White.
Good. I mean, she
did.
Oh,
I appreciated, because Betty was playing herself in this episode. We get dirty, funny, naughty, conniving Betty.
Two-sided Betty. She goes from sweet to like nasty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely loved it.
A B. Arthur reference is involved. A lesbianic B. Arthur reference.
I know. We totally have that clip.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're gonna dive in. I feel like, I don't know, I'm feeling, last night I feel like I was raging about this show, and maybe
Oh,
it's
I'm
just the
still
emotional
raging.
state that I'm in. I'm like, I kind of feel like I need to be gentle with
No,
everybody's
this
emotions now.
let me just no, you don't. Let me just
The
say,
characters deserve us to be gentle and
and I know there are a
understanding.
lot of fans of Ugly Betty out there. I know. So I just need, for any of our listeners who are massive Ugly Betty fans, we're not going to go crazy into the Ugly Betty lore and any of that because this is a Golden Girls podcast and we're only going to focus on Betty White. But that said, both Kerri and I needed a hate watch. Like this week of all weeks, we needed a hate watch. You know those kind of shows that you watch and you're just like, yeah, I'm going to hate this and I'm going to love to hate on it. I'm going to love, it's going to feel
Yeah.
so good to hate on it. That's us this week.
Well, before we get into it, because we got some really fun clips and other stuff to
Oh,
play.
yeah.
I do want to mention over at the GGVIP Club this week. Well, first of all, last weekend we had another really fun live watch along party. We watched Letter to Gorbachev. It was really, really fun. And I love our live watch along
They're
parties. So
so fun. Oh,
thank
my
you for
God.
everybody who was there.
And
And
we
we
had
had
to
a
do it
great
on a
time.
Saturday because I'm my thing that gave me a rash on a Sunday. You want to see my rash? You can see. You can't really see it, and I guess I've hidden it well. But yeah, so like, thank you for everyone who showed up on
Yeah,
on a
it was a
Saturday.
great time. And this week in the Rusty Anchor Happy Hour, we're going to look at some really cool Golden Girls makeup transformations on TikTok.
Yeah,
So that's fun because there are people who can turn themselves into the Golden Girls. It's really, really fun.
I have thoughts on her Blanche, but yes,
Yeah, well, yeah, I have thoughts too. It's very hard, but we'll talk. Yeah, okay,
yeah,
we'll talk about it.
we'll talk.
This is good. Ooh, okay. Let's. Do you want to maybe take a break and then
I do.
we'll dive
I
in?
am so ready to hate watch, and I apologize to any. This is not about. We're not going to hate Ugly Betty, but I apologize in advance because I'm going to be hateful.
And we're back talking about Betty White on Ugly Betty. So we are going to get to the Betty part. I do want to talk just briefly about the other storylines in this episode because there were a lot of things that actually reminded me of the Golden Girls in this, which is so in one of the storylines, we have two adult siblings who are having a paintball tournament to decide who's going to run the company now that their dad has passed. And it kind of reminded me of what we saw on the Golden Girls in the case of the Libertine Belle, where it's like the person who solves the pretend murder is going to get the job
Oh,
of Kendall Nesbitt's assistant. Like the
yeah,
skills don't overlap.
yeah.
It
That doesn't
shouldn't be
seem
part of the
fair.
decision making
Doesn't seem
process
fair.
that requires a lot of it should be like, well, the person who wins at paintball should run the company. Just
Yeah.
like the person who solves the pretend murder shouldn't be the assistant. Those skills don't overlap.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I mean, but that's sort of the. I will say that the absurdity of the plot is part of what makes a telenovela so fun. You know what I
Of
mean? And so
course.
campy and so crazy.
Hmm.
But that's the thing I've seen of the telenovelas I've seen. I've never been as annoyed as I was watching this episode of Ugly Betty.
I don't
Yeah.
know. Now that I'm like reliving it in my mind, I was like, oh, the soapy acting was campy and kind of funny.
It's campy. I think
Um,
because like I this is, you know what it is. You know what it is. You know what it
yeah,
is.
you just figured it out. Go ahead.
Yeah. I don't think some of these actors, like Rebecca Romaine and the guy who played the son, attractive young man, and the guy from New Girl, what's his name?
Max
Yes, the him,
Greenfield
Max
or some.
Greenfield. I don't think they're qualified to be in a telenovela. I do think Judith Light, Vanessa Williams, Betty White, I think all of them are. But, and America Ferrera even, maybe, I think is qualified. Maybe. But I don't feel like I don't feel like American, and I will intentionally say white actors understand the essence. And I'm white myself, so I don't really know, but of having what I've watched, I know there's an essence to a telenovela that is very much a part of that culture. And it's like, I don't think they have the steamy drama-ness of it all that gives them what this requires, you know? I don't
Hmm.
know. It just feels off to me.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, that is. Oh. Yes, that is an absolutely valid opinion. I think also in having not watched a lot of telenovelas, that there is certainly a bit of a comedic slant to this, and a lot of them do have experience, like Max Greenfield, like
Yeah.
Quinn, who is on How I Met Your Mother. I'm so sorry, I don't know her real name off the top of my head, but so it is maybe finding that balance of like who can do the more soapy, dramatic stuff, and then who can kind of also do the comedic stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but so that's that storyline. It's just, again, it sort of reminded me of the Golden Girls, as did America Ferrera's storyline. It reminded me of the Golden Girls.
Mm.
So she's dating this like nebbish guy that she works with. Their relationship seems to be turning a little stale. There's like a new guy coming around, played by Freddie Rodriguez, who I love from 6 Feet Under.
Yeah, he's great.
He's exciting. He's like, thinks maybe she's into him. Can't really tell, but also he's flirting with her sister. And the storyline to me felt a lot like the episode of the Golden Girls where Rose is in a rut with Miles. Because
Yeah.
all he wants to do is go to the Thimble Museum and the Zipper Factory, and she wants some excitement. And America Ferrera wants excitement.
Yeah.
So she's like, Freddie Rodriguez and her sister are going to go out dancing. That's exciting. It's not just staying home and learning how to make cheese. So they go out dancing.
Which is fun. And I do think that storyline, I also wish the storylines would have like connected at some point. Like
You wanted them
maybe
to
not
dovetail.
maybe not resolved, but had some overlap. Like, I mean, the whole scene that we'll get to with Betty White and Vanessa Williams is outside. It could have involved someone running into America Ferrera and her sister and her boyfriend or whatever. Like, it could have involved some kind of connection that like anchored me to the stories of all these characters in a way that I'd like a real telenovela would do.
Dovetailing is a very satisfying thing to watch as a viewer. Shows obviously like Seinfeld did it really, really well. A lot of shows did it really well. But yeah, these stories definitely felt like their own stories on their own islands,
Yeah.
So America Ferrera, Betty, takes her boyfriend out dancing because, excitement. And then what happens next? I always love to imagine, like, if something like this happened in the real world, what would that look like? It's
The ice
obviously
cream bit?
the fire bit.
Oh,
It was very appropriate for a soap opera, but like they're out dancing at this club. The dance floor is incredibly crowded. And then all of a sudden, a bartender carrying a tray of these giant flaming drinks is like, I'm going to squeeze through the dance crowd with my tray of fire drinks. And of course, Ugly Betty's boyfriend his arm catches on fire.
Wait, have you ever had a drink that was on fire?
No, but I was going to ask you if you've ever accidentally caught on fire.
Yes, I have two stories then. Because
Okay, great.
I have
no,
accidentally.
I haven't had a drink, and I haven't had a drink on fire. I've never been on fire. Oh my
God. Okay, so my drink on fire. I got a I got a drink on fire in like, I think it was in Germany. I think it was when I was a foreign exchange student. I forget, but I got a drink. They gave me a drink on fire. It was like a shot or whatever of something, and it was on fire. And they set the glass down that was on fire, and then they set a little a tiny little thing next to it that wasn't on fire, like a little metal thing, And I was a smoker then, and so I just like, my own little personal ashtray, and I was like ashing in it, like the little thing that like the little cup thing that they gave next to the drink, and then I didn't know how to put the fire out, and I was alone. And so I just kind of blew on it, which obviously was not a good situation because then it's liquid.
Oxygen,
so it goes, and I learned that the little thing that I was putting my ashes in was actually what I put over the drink to put the fire out so that I could then drink. You live and you learn. The time I was on fire was New Year's Eve, New York City, like 2008, maybe 9, I don't know. And I was at a friend of mine's apartment in Chelsea, really good friend to this day. He's such a sweetheart. And we all were together. It was a bunch of comics. And I had a scarf on. I mean, it's winter, so I was freezing. And I had a scarf on. And I was like doing something or whatever. And of course, I bent down to like get some chips and some dip or something. I don't know what. And there was a candle on the table. And as I bent down, my scarf like fell down into the candle or whatever. And it caught on fire. and I didn't know what to do. And I was trying to like look, and then I literally just turned to the guy, the owner of the apartment. I was like, I'm on fire. And we went into the kitchen and we put it out. But yeah, I was on fire at the apartment.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, look at that. You just checked 2 boxes for
There
me.
we go.
I was
There we
like,
go.
I don't have any good stories. I hope you do, and you didn't disappoint. Well,
but that was a fun moment. I will say, again, the only storylines that I think that actually mattered were the Vanessa Williams with the connecting, I get kind of Judith Light connected, because Judith Light's character was a dovetail into different stories, because there was the kids who were having the paintball situation, and then she also had stuff with Vanessa Williams. So there was that, and that was satisfying. Judith Light is always satisfying.
Oh, Judith Light is. I want that needle pointed. Judith Light, always satisfying.
Is always
Somebody
satisfying.
needle point that for me.
But like having that moment at the bar with America and her boyfriend, and like all of those moments are really good. And I could have had just a full show about them and Vanessa Williams and Judith Light.
Yeah. It was. I did enjoy. I enjoyed their story. It felt so much like the Miles and the Rose of it all, and
the ice cream bed.
Yeah,
all of that was like super cute, fun telenovela-y, in that like she's trying to like be sexy. Am I remembering correctly? She's trying to be sexy, and she heard of this thing, and he's shirtless on the ground because he's going away, so they want to like be romantic or whatever.
Yeah, and he wanted to teach her how to make ice cream, and she wanted to go out dancing instead.
Yes. And so she put the ice cream on his stomach and to be like sexy or whatever, and she was gonna like eat it off, and it was really cold, so he's like, eat it quick. And then to warm it up, she poured hot fudge on the ice cream, but it was too hot. Wait, no, she ate the ice cream first and it got all over her, and then she put the fudge on, and it just became, and she tried to eat the fudge, but it was like too hot, and it was really fun. It was cute.
Really sweet.
Yeah.
There's also a moment where so also like back like at the club after he gets, sets his arm on fire, instead of everybody being like, holy shit, you were just on fire, like the two of them just get into a fight like he wasn't just on fire.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm never going to be a dancer. Like, I'm never going to be a skydiver, Rose. And he kind of storms out. But then.
Wait, but I just have to give him credit there that, the one time I was on fire, I bounced back real quick, and I still went back and got chips and dip. So, like,
yeah,
it is possible.
Maybe I should give him credit. Like, he's like, all right, moving on.
Nothing stopped me from chips and dip.
And then, so they do get into a fight. This is before the ice cream of it all. And she ends up she's at the club again, and he surprises her by coming back, and he like takes off his shirt. So he's just wearing a tank top, and he does like this dorky solo dance routine. And it's really sweet.
It's so sweet.
I always notice these things. This also happened when I watched The Good Place. With Chidi, where you've got these like nerdy, nebbish guys who are like, I've never been to the gym, and then they take off their shirt and they're so ripped.
Well, I'm so glad
that guy was so ripped.
Glad you brought this
up.
He's
not a nerd.
This is a conversation for all of the homosexual
and nerds
listeners.
Can be ripped, don't get me wrong.
Yes, well, let me just back that up. Homosexual listeners and the ladies who love us. So I have. When back in the day when I was on like Le Grinds and stuff, you know what I mean? All the apps or whatever, they had classifications for you to describe yourself, your body, and oftentimes very thin men would describe themselves as muscular, when in reality, they're just very thin, and they're able to have their body show things because of their thinness in a way that someone who is more voluptuous does not have that opportunity. If I was super real thin, yeah, I'd have abs. You'd see my abs. My bones would definitely double for muscles, because my muscles had less skin to try to beat through to be able to be apparent. Yeah, you'd see them. So I would appear muscular, when in reality, I'm probably just as muscular as a skinny dude. It's just I got all this other loving hiding it. You know what I mean? So like, I'm just saying that this skinny, nerdy kid, he was very muscular. Like, he clearly had worked out and done things, but oftentimes that's not the case. I'm just saying. So that was all for my homosexuals still struggling on the apps of people who claim to be one way, and then in reality, it's just because they're skinny.
Okay, well, thank you for that
someone related to that. And if you related to it, please drop into the DMs.
All right, now let's get to what we are here for, which is Betty White.
Actually, you know what? Let's take a break.
Please.
Because
okay, great idea.
I feel like we've done the important parts of the episode. Now we're getting into the most important part of the episode, which is Miss Betty White. Lick her, put her on a stamp. You don't have to lick her, actually. It's a sticker. You're fine. Buy the stamps, though. 25.
You know Betty would want you to lick her and put her on a letter.
And we're keeping that in.
You know, usually when we watch these projects for our Beyond the Golden Girls episodes, I always enjoy a Golden Girls entrance because they get an applause break. They usually come in on a great joke.
Yeah.
But in this case, we meet Betty White during a horrific act of elder abuse from Vanessa Williams. The woman is physically assaulted.
Quite literally. And then just thrown money at.
Mm-hmm. So, and we're not going to show this part because it was hard. I was like, I know I'm looking at it's Betty White and Betty White is acting and that is a stunt double. But it was really hard for me watching that. And I was like, I'm not going to make our audience watch Betty White get hurt.
There was a little bit of an element of the dance-a-thon, marathon or whatever, where there was the stunt double and then there was Betty, and like you see the difference in the two.
Yeah.
And when the stunt double is walking towards the car and it's clearly Betty's voiceover, in which they did not do very well in that voiceover, but which made it even more fun to me. But like it's clearly Betty's voiceover, and then the stunt double is the one who has to do the fall, obviously. I had a little moment like that. Or there was another one. Wait, isn't there another stunt double moment on the Golden Girls with Betty White? No, she ran in that parking garage. No, it was only that one, I think.
Yeah, that I can think of. I mean, they've used a dummy for Sophia when she jumped out the window, but I don't think that was a person. That was a dummy.
No.
That might have been the only stunt person.
I think so.
On the Golden Girls. But correct us if we're wrong.
Please.
So to set the scene, it's raining, it's nighttime, it's in the city. Betty White is wearing a poncho. She hails a cab. She goes to get in. Vanessa Williams pushes her out of the way.
Vanessa Williams has a line saying something. I forget. She's like, "You're wearing plastic."
You're wearing plastic.
Was really funny. That was really funny. Yeah.
And then and then Betty White's like, "That's my cab," and she slams the car door on Betty's hand, and the car actually like starts to move. And then Vanessa Williams opens the door, and Betty White falls out. And then Vanessa Williams like throws money at her, and she's like, "This should cover it."
Yeah.
And then she drives away, and then it was very dramatic. So the clip that we're going to show picks up where two men, having witnessed what happened, rush over to Betty. And I want you to tell me if you would have reacted like either of these men in this situation.
Oh my God. It's Betty White.
Yes, it's Betty White, jackass. I'm on the ground here. Call 911.
They're on their way. And don't worry, I got it all in my cell.
You know, you're our favorite Golden Girl.
Can we get a picture?
I'm in pain.
Come on, just one.
Okay, I absolutely would not act like those two men at all. That is absurd.
Minus calling 911.
Oh yeah, I mean, I would I would go to her immediately, and then I would think about calling 911 and stuff. But but in general, even in moments not involving a traumatic situation with a celebrity, I'm not one to necessarily want or think even to get a picture in that moment. It just doesn't. It often doesn't occur to me unless someone else is in the moment with me. Like if I'm like with a friend or there's a photographer there, then of course someone else is going to suggest it. And then I'm going to be like, oh, sure. Yeah. But like oftentimes if it's just me, I can never even think about doing a selfie. I will. Wait, Michael, can I share the Sofia Coppola story? So, okay. The funniest celebrity, it did not happen to me. And that's why I just had to ask Michael. The funniest celebrity encounter story I have ever heard in the history of celebrity encounters involved Michael and Sofia Coppola. I don't even know. He's like, look, I thought maybe I said something wrong. No, it was Sofia Coppola. He said that's the most embarrassing. It's so funny. So he saw Sofia Coppola at a store, and we're a big Sofia Coppola fans, massive Sofia Coppola fans. I mean, I still am to this day. And he was young, obviously, in New York, and he wanted to get a picture with her. He wanted to get a picture of her. And so she's there. She's, I think, with her kid or something. I don't really know if she was with her kid. And he asked for the picture. And with a stroller. She was with a stroller. And he asks for a picture, and then he just takes out his phone and takes the picture of her just standing there with her stroller. He doesn't even get in the picture. And then she says, she says, you don't want to be in it? And he was like, no. And he was so mortified afterwards. He was so mortified that he left and he deleted the picture. To this day, I wish that picture was saved. So funny.
Oh, Michael.
And so, yeah, neither of us are those people who do that. He says he needs to take a paint. He needs to make a painting of that picture because it's ingrained in his mind. It is one of my favorite stories. And I was not with Michael at that point, but like,
that is so funny.
So
oh God.
funny.
Can you, like, you want a picture? Like, and then he just takes a picture of it. That's so sweet, Michael.
So funny.
All right. Well, then I will make Michael feel better by telling in somewhat, I don't know how, it's a little embarrassing. When I was working for IMDb, I went to Paris to interview the cast of Mission Impossible Fallout. And they were doing the junket. And so all the actors, some are one-on-one, some are paired up, whatever, into these rooms. And I go into a room and it's just Henry Cavill, Superman. And I walk in and he's like, hi, I'm Henry. And I was like, oh, hi, Kerri, nice to meet you. And then he goes, can we get a selfie? And I was like, yeah, dude. And so he takes a selfie with his phone. And I was like, well, clearly Henry Cavill is interested in some, not like romantically, but like he asked for a selfie. He must be a huge IMDb fan or something. And so I was like, can I get one too? He's like, yeah. So I get one with my phone. And here I am thinking like, this is a special interaction we've had again, because I think he's like a big IMDb fan. Yeah. And the next day, I tell Stan, because Stan's there in Paris with me, and I'm like, Henry Cavill asked me for a selfie. And then the next day, Henry Cavill had put out this video where every single member of the press that he interacted with, he asked for selfies, and he like cut it together in this cute video.
That's cute.
And it was really cute, but I was like, oh, I'm not special. And I asked him for a selfie and it was fine. But I was like, oh, that was more, he was like doing a press thing.
Yeah. That's
I don't know,
funny. But you were special though, because you were there and he wanted a selfie.
It was very, very sweet. But I was like, oh, that's so dorky that I was like, can I get one too then? Because I wasn't going to ask for a picture.
No, if someone asked me for a selfie, if a celebrity asked me for a selfie, at first I'd be like, why? But then
that was my first thought.
Yeah, but then I would be like, yeah, I want one too then. You know what I mean? Like again, like I said, if someone reminds me that that's a thing people do, then I'll do it. Yeah.
Well,
I think my favorite recent selfies with a celebrity is with Reba McEntire, because it's like,
oh, that's fun.
It's someone else took the picture, so it wasn't quite a selfie, but it's me going and her going.
Like the poster for her next TV show.
Yeah, I'll text you the picture. Go on.
Please do. So Vanessa Williams ultimately discovers that she assaulted Betty White, and which she actually cares about. Not that she assaulted someone, but she assaulted a public figure.
Well, as she should, but yes.
But she shouldn't have done it regardless. She was a terrible human being. But
sure.
So then she discovers it was Betty. They get on the phone, and their exchange made me laugh so hard. Can we play that exchange?
Betty White, how are you?
For someone who had to fight a rat for her fingertip, surprisingly well.
Well, I didn't vote for Giuliani, but he did make the city cleaner. Betty, I can't begin to tell you how sorry I am. Believe me, I just thought you were some old lady.
Oh, an honest mistake. And I'll be fine. I did lose a lot of blood, but it was my own fault. I stopped to sign a few autographs and almost bled out on the sidewalk.
Well, that's why you're beloved. You're loyal to your fans.
Oh, well, I adore them. Except for the few sickos who write lesbian fan fiction about me and B. Arthur.
God, you know,
It's just so funny.
you know that Betty White would have actually loved
She would have
erotic
loved
fanfic between
that erotic
Dorothy and
fan picture.
Rose.
Would have loved it. Oh my God, yes. 1000%. Oh
I'm
my
like,
God.
what would that look like?
But the way
what would
there's a moment in this scene. Is it the scene? No, it's the next one. Sorry, I'll wait for the next clip. But like it's the way that she is in this hospital bed doing this thing, looking so adorable, even though her finger's all bandaged up and everything. She looks so like her makeup is perfect. Like it is just like the perfect Betty White moment. And she's so on. It's just so good.
it's so good. It's so good.
So satisfying.
And like you're right about I loved the music in that moment. It's very like kind of suspicious. And then I love the way that Vanessa Williams is talking.
Yes.
Like you're right. Like she was born to be in a soapy drama. God, do you remember when she released Save the Best for Last?
Oh my God.
That song.
I do. I very much do. I remember it being an Entertainment Tonight exclusive thing and loving it. Okay, I have found my picture with Reba McEntire. So for anyone listening, you can go watch on YouTube or whatever. And we'll probably
or on
post
the
it.
or on the GGVIP club.
Yeah, that. Here, let me do that.
Oh, that's a cute picture.
That's from
It
my
looks-
close friends. See, this is how I am. I don't post these things publicly, but like
It looks like you're in the middle of singing a high note to her, and she's like trying to harmonize with you.
look
a
at
little
that
bit.
face. Look at her face. She's looking at me like, you said something naughty. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I know I
Oh,
did,
that's
Reba.
Fun.
Which I probably did.
That is fun. That is fun.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So Betty on the phone with Vanessa Williams, she tells her she forgives her. She's like, I forgive you.
Yeah.
And Vanessa Williams is like, it would be really helpful if you could forgive me on TV, on live TV.
This is when the Betty White we know and love comes through, and in that scene when she agrees to this is the best part of the episode for me.
This is Rose Nyland setting up Dr. Elliot Clayton.
Yes.
Being like, well, hey, I can, churn your topsoil till the cows come home. This is her.
Yeah.
She is setting a trap. She is laying out the
Yep.
bait, the
She's
Betty
gonna
bait.
show Vanessa Williams who's who.
So the two of them arrange this sort of stunt where this is where Betty's lying in a hospital bed.
Yeah.
She's wearing like a silky baby blue robe with fake fur. And to me, it felt like the kind of robe that Blanche would wear for a special gentleman caller.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it was very sexy.
And it's in the scene. There's a news reporter there played by the great Alec Mapa, who is a fantastic comedian. If you've seen anything of, there's a great film called, oh God, why am I blanking on the name of it now? Nia Vardalos and Toni Collette. And I will Google it. But they play drag queens, and Alec plays one of the drag queens in it, who is just so perfect. I love this scene, and I love Betty White in this scene. So Connie and Carla is the name of the film.
Great.
But Alec Mapa, and Alec did a lot of things with the girls. I mean, he also did, I think, some PETA things with B. Arthur. Like, he did a lot of things with a lot of the girls.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was great in this. I really enjoyed him.
Yeah, he's a great actor.
And with Betty in the scene, I also noticed, just like on the Golden Girls, she's in her pajamas, she's in a hospital bed, but she's like full glam makeup. And obviously for this, it's because she's on camera, for the apology. But I was like, it's so classic seeing a Golden Girl in a bed in pajamas in full glam.
Full glam.
And I know, and I feel like we should maybe just play the clip of luring her right into that trap.
Yep.
This is Suzuki St. Pierre from Fashion Buzz here at the Peace Summit no one thought would ever happen. Wilhelmina, what do you have to say to award-winning actress, animal rights activist, friend to gays everywhere? I love you.
Me too.
Betty White.
As I said to her last night when I rushed to her side,
Oh, my hand. Oh, it hurts.
I barely...
Now she's going after my other hand.
Betty,
Why do
please.
you hate me? What did I ever do to you?
Please,
oh,
Betty.
God, get the monster away from me.
Cut. What the hell is going on here? Have you lost your mind, old woman?
Did I not mention that Regis and Kelly called? And The View. They want me. They all want me. Oh, I'm sorry, honey. This feud is huge, and I'm gonna milk it till it's dry.
But you don't need this.
Are you kidding? That Golden Girls money went right into the nickel slots.
This and then as soon as she's done with that bit, as soon as she's done trying like explaining herself, and then she's like, "Action, honey," or whatever to the camera person, then she goes, "Oh God, get her away from me!" Like it's like
It's
night
so
and day.
good.
It is just. I don't think in our life. Well, no, I take that back. We saw plenty of sort of like plotting, conniving Betty White on Mary Tyler Moore Show, and of course, then in later years we saw it. I mean, one of her famous like Two-Face moments in a moment ever. It wasn't as mean as this, but if you've seen The Proposal, which we've done on this podcast, I believe, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. If you've seen The Proposal, I remember things, I swear. If you've seen The Proposal, there's a moment that Betty White's character quite literally fakes a heart attack in order to move the story along to get Ryan Reynolds' character to Sandra Bullock. And then on the actual plane, as she's being whatever it's called, evacuated to the hospital in the plane because they're in Alaska, she then says, "Oh, good, you're getting back together." And then she's just fine. Like, we can turn the plane around now. Like it's just nothing. Betty
so
White
good.
does it so good in those moments where a character needs to be conniving.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, you know, and she, what I loved about this is that she waited, you
Yeah.
know, like she waited.
Yeah.
She could have just, you know, ripped into her, but like when it first happened, she, you know, first talked to her on the phone, but like, nope, she wanted to, she's like,
just like us. Sometimes you just need that moment to be spiteful, to be hateful, to have a hate watch and just like shit talk with your friend. That's what Betty White did. Betty White was practicing self-care in this moment.
yeah,
You know?
I think so. I think
Betty White
so.
was like, you know what? I could just tell her how I feel on the phone and call it a day and not give her that apology or whatever. But no, I want this to be bigger. And
Yeah.
sometimes you just got to be spiteful.
I mean, she certainly made the episode for me. It was, and that's, you know, that's basically the episode. But
Well,
it
and
was,
also too,
it was fun.
I do like that in a weird way, because the whole episode, Vanessa Williams was like high on her whatever and like very campy and very just whatever. And then, of course, the only person in this episode that could truly bring Vanessa Williams's character down to size is Betty White. Like, there was no one else, no other actor, no other storyline could take Vanessa Williams from being as great as she was in this and is. Vanessa Williams is such a good actress. I think people sleep on how good Vanessa Williams actually is in so many roles. But I think she's in Devil Wears Prada now, the musical. I don't know where it is. I think it might be London. I forget. But she's playing Miranda in Devil Wears Prada, which is like
Fun.
so
That
fun,
feels so perfect for her. It feels like she got her
It's
training in Ugly
It's
Betty.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. No, so it's perfect. But the only person that could bring that character down is Betty White, and that just feels right. And we know it because we're a Betty White fan club here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We need to watch more shows with Betty White, I think.
Sure. Yeah, I'm down.
Like more, because she had more guest star moments of things like this that I feel like could introduce me to other shows that maybe aren't as bad as this episode of Ugly Betty. You know what I mean?
I do.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's take a break and we'll come back with our golden takeaways.
Great.
And we're back with our golden takeaway, which is a nugget of truth or inspiration that you can apply to your lives or the lives of our listeners. Kerri, what's your golden takeaway from this episode?
Mine is a piece of advice for parents out there with little babies who take naps. I found when little Oreo was a baby, this is related, I promise. When little Oreo was a baby and we used to rock her to go to sleep to take naps and stuff, we found that just putting her down wasn't enough. We'd have to rock her. We would listen to music. And Stan and I created a playlist of soft listening. And it was songs like Sailing by Christopher Cross and Rush Rush by Paula Abdul and Take a Bow by Madonna. But the song, the little Oreo that always put her into that slumber, was Vanessa Williams' Save the Best for Last. So if you're having trouble getting your child to go to sleep, your baby, put on Vanessa Williams, save the best for last, and see what happens. And I hope it
love
can help one
that.
parent out there.
I love that.
What's your golden takeaway?
My golden takeaway is, this doesn't quite necessarily apply to this episode, but it kind of does. But I firmly believe in having those friends that sometimes the only reason for you to get together is the shit talk, is just to vent and say the most irrational things that you would never want publicly put out into the world. But sometimes in the privacy of a friend group or a dinner at Cheesecake Factory over that delicious brown bread with butter, or like just something, you get together with those friends that you can just go irrationally to the wall and just be like spiteful shit talkers, because I feel like you need to get it out and you can't just like let that whatever. And so for me, having this moment today was that, with my dislike of this episode, but also the stress you and I both have been under for other reasons. So this shit talking moment was my way of practicing self-care, and I am very grateful for it. So that's my golden takeaway.
That's a great golden takeaway. And Ugly Betty fans, please be gentle with us this week.
I'm sure, please convince us that it's great otherwise. And I'm sure, listen, it is. Like, I would watch for Judith Light, Vanessa Williams, and America Ferrera, really. But all the other storylines, I don't think I would watch for.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
Well, everyone, this has been another episode of Out on the Lanai. We will catch you back here next week for more Golden Girls greatness. And remember that you can check out the GGVIP Club over at patreon.com/Golden Girls Podcast.
Yes, and you can follow us. We're part of Mom, Moguls of Media. You can also follow us on social media at Golden Girls Pod on Twitter, Out on the Lanai Official on Instagram, Golden Girls Pod on Facebook, and I'm HAlanScott / Sadie Pines on everything.
And I'm Squidsy on Instagram and Squid Eat Squid on Twitter. And if you want to do something else nice for the podcast, you can leave us a rating and review wherever you get this podcast, because it really helps people discover us and join our lovely community of kick-ass Golden Girls fans.
It really does. And remember,
as always,
stay golden and shit talk with your friends. Ooh, yeah.
Out on the Lanai is not endorsed by Whit Thomas Harris Productions, Touchstone Television, Disney, or any of its subsidiaries. It is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only.
All names, pictures, audio, and video clips of the Golden Girls are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of their respective trademark and/or copyright holders.